So here we are. Welcome back. For the sake of trying to keep everybody informed on what I'm doing with my projects, um, mostly I'm crashing. I've got busting axles on my front wheel drive project. Um, this car with the new motor now flips and takes off. I'll include some video of that, but it squats when I give it full throttle and it just does a backflip. It's pretty impressive, mostly with the way everything's designed and set up. It does actually hold up, so I haven't broken any parts. It's nice to get to that point where the bodies and the under parts are supported enough so they don't really crush in on the wheels. As you can see, I have everything cut so it actually surrounds the wheels, so the wheels themselves don't take any impact. I do get little tears and rips here and there. This one was my first aero attempt, so I could probably improve upon it. But this one was more of a test rig to kind of get me started on everything else. Again, just as a recap, this is my rear wheel drive car that I've done 59 miles an hour with a 2S brushed motor. I popped in the brushless motor from that I ordered that will end up in my front wheel drive drag car, which I'm also going to be doing a bit more to. But this one was meant as a cheap car. It's open diffs. It's just the first attempt at trying to do things differently, but in such a way that I'm not destroying it or it won't self-destruct, rather as it goes through and tries to go fast for me. This was my brushed motor car. This is my new brushed motor car. This was my Father's Day gift from my family here. So I'm excited to put it together. I'll start putting it together here. I'm probably not going to use that body. I do have a couple other bodies and other body ideas. In some of the Facebook groups, Speedrun, the Tamiya Speedrun group and the front wheel drive group, I've been sharing that I'm also working on learning some wood carving so I can make some molds for some bodies and try to dictate the aero a little bit better based around my specific needs. It's a really nice body. It looks great, but I don't have a driver. I don't need all of this. So I'll see if I can trim something. I do have one more of these bodies. This was the bowling body after the Oldsmobile Aerotech, which was a speedrun car from the 80s, 90s era. They had a whale tail version. Maybe I'll see if I can make that myself. I did get it from Cebulatech, oldrc.com. It's an awesome body. I love the way it looks. I do wish they had the other version, but this is the only one that Bowling made, and they have all the bowling stuff, and it's great. This is the thin one, and it's held up, as you can see, with the scratches. I did hot glue and tape the inside, but it's held up fairly well. These scratches are peeling everything. I'll hot glue the edges or Gorilla Glue them. But yeah, I'm not going to use that body. I'm going to try to fit another one of these. I do have a pan car body I can check out, and I have another 235, 240 millimeter body. I believe it's an old GTP car. After I put this kit together, I'll start comparing and swapping stuff around. I'll probably have to switch and find some different tires that'll be more suitable to speed running. But this one is going to be set up with an old D6 motor setup and old Cyclone, old touring car Cyclone. I used to run one of the original Cyclones in my low CXX TCR, so that was fun to run in the 90s and get to 40 miles an hour on the roads in a stadium truck. But this still has good solid clicky magnets in here. I got this out of a lot that I recently purchased. It's got the nice end bell and everything. It was dynoed, 13 turn, some vintage electronics. I'll throw in this servo, and we'll see how it all comes out. So from there, I'll just start building. We'll fast motion through some of it. I'll stop the camera, finish it up. Maybe I'll interlude with some car flips. I didn't get the videos of the crashes on this one. Unfortunately, when I put it back together, I did relocate the servo, but the first servo I used was a twitchy one that I had kind of forgotten about, and it's just a bad servo. Um, has a mind of its own, so I ended up crashing, and that was unfortunate. I'll be redoing the rear suspension of this one, trying to narrow it some, and then using spacers to keep the wheels out. That'll allow me a little bit more control in tucking the wheels under the bodies I want, since I am going larger diameter on a lot of my setups. I do still have to mold the bodies for that one as well. I would like to make a drag Civic body, so we'll see how that turns out. In the meantime, let's start building the C11 here and see what it's all about. See if we can find something else to crash, modify, change, adapt, make different. Because I mean, for some that's the hobby. Little relief, little building, keep it interesting, do something different. I do get a kick out of setting these cars up in such a way that everybody tells me I shouldn't have. I do still have that TC01 that that's been a pain to work on. Oh, these are the tires. So it's nice. Okay, so this is wheels and shocks in here. Skinny tires. Let's see, it's going to be skinny tires. I don't have them here. I'll have to compare them. If it's going to be skinny tires, I can change it. If it's going to be rear wheel drive, I don't have to do foams in the front. I don't have to do them this short. The diameter doesn't really matter as long as it fits under the body. Okay, servo saver. Little wheels. Okay, here's my gears. Shocks. Need these. Sport tune motored. I guess I'll use this for something. I guess I'm missing one of the other boxes. Well, I did take some stuff out of the main box. I wanted to look at the body. It's beautiful. This is an awesome gift. I really appreciate it. Get some stuff laid out here, find the other box, and get to work. We'll come back and I'll start comparing some of the different bodies once it's all together, and we'll see what fits, what doesn't, and what I might be able to adapt, what I want to change, if I want to add anything. I would like to do some sort of belly pan, but being that I'm going for 2S on brushed, I may try to keep it as light as possible so that I can gear it more, and while gearing doesn't generally affect it. I have been burning up some of these brush motors, so we'll see what I can do to tread lightly, as it were, and inch forward. So I'll get started on this. We'll get this together. We'll show some flips here of the other cars, whatever carnage I have to share, and I'll see you in a little bit. Brushless. Same thing.
So I'm gonna have to add some weight or something.
Little montage there of some of the crashes. Some of them were the flips that this thing was doing at 80 miles an hour. It would just kind of flip up like this. I still need to cut some of this off. I think that was giving me the wrong angle here. Again, this was my first attempt at underbody aero on any of my cars. So it's very unrefined, but it at least protects a lot of the components here when it does slip and crash. If nothing else, so I don't tear through the tires so much. To update this so that hopefully it doesn't crash, I have lowered the front a little bit, but I did add a bunch of weight and glue and hot glue here. So we'll see how it goes. This is a 7,000 kV motor running with a Mamba Monster 2. This setup will probably end up in the drag car, but I've been testing it out to see what it can do. I give this rear-wheel drive converted TTO2 a couple more runs and see what else it can do before I decide to change what I'm going to do with it. It's been a good car, good learning base, and been taking some abuse. That'll be the fate of my other cars. But yeah, that's what's going on here. It'll be cool to see this thing log some official 80 miles an hour without flips. The first part of this video, which I started about a month and a half ago, I was also talking about this car, which had crashed because it had a poor servo on it. It didn't have enough torque and it was wandering, so it just kind of threw itself off. From that, I ended up with loose ball joints, which I'm currently changing. I have it still apart because I'm waiting for some tungsten putty to fill in these holes so I can get the weight as low as I can. Probably get some tungsten plates and put them down here as well. Popping everything in here to get it balanced out with the servo, so as much as weight as possible can be low. We'll see how it works. I'm also due to change the diff fluid, go to 2 million. I just have some putty stuff in there now, but I want something a little more consistent for my runs. This thing has run a 3.4 so far with just spinning, so I need to add a lot more weight and definitely learn how to tune the ESCs here. This was the Castle Sidewinder 4, so it's not as tunable as the other options I have. Looking into putting in a Mamba Monster X 6S. I do currently have a Mamba X and a Mamba Monster X 8S, which is currently testing in another build for some 8S runs. We'll see if I can fit it in here and decide whether or not I'm going to add that other Castle ESC to the arsenal here. But I've been having the best of luck with the Castles, so I'm going to stick with it for now. Yeah, it works out. Now on to the star of this video. I was talking about my Group C build for brushless cars. I finished this about 2 weeks ago, but we've had some bunch of life stuff happen around the house. Got to fix AC, fix other things, but more importantly, we had a vacation and a great birthday for my son. So we've been enjoying all of that. Now, this one is done. I ended up going with the same body that I did on the others. I did a nice paint job, which ended up getting torn up from the shoe goo I put underneath. But it was a nice deep red, something different. Again, this body is a replica of the Oldsmobile Aerotech from the late 80s, early 90s speed run and endurance car. This particular body is molded after the short tail. There was a long tail that they did for speed runs. It held the speed run record for a bit. So, in homage to that, I've been trying to do the under aero to kind of mimic the whale tail style of it. We'll see if it actually works. I can tell you that just the body, or just the chassis, without all the extra stuff on it, I managed to get 55 miles an hour in a quick test. Then I decided to make sure I finish the body so I don't ruin all the rest of the electronics. One note, the underbody here, so it's reinforced, and if you look, it has channels, almost like these pieces here, which are for, I believe, a Yokomo. So I can add more to it to give it the same downforce effect on the bottom. I did cut the ends off and run a shorty pack here. Couple custom little pieces here to help the air flow out, hopefully, without getting bound up here with the wheels and tires. This body is a little bit wider than the stock one, so all the wheels and tires fit underneath. I'm not using stock wheels and tires, so I do have some more width to it. Now, this one sits a tiny bit taller, and the way it's designed, I might give it a try if I pick up a second Group C kit as a spare. Let's see what it does with the stock body. That may be something people want to see. It's a great looking body. Maybe I'll paint it the silver. Maybe I'll give it another custom paint job. But I wanted to go with this one, mostly so I can learn about the aerodynamics. Again, 1/10 scale aerodynamics isn't really like regular aerodynamics. It may or may not work. Kind of a crapshoot sometimes. Depends on road conditions as well, since these are affected more by the road conditions than larger cars. So I figure I keep using the same body, I might learn something that I can apply to other bodies as well. You can see here as I move it, the way it's designed, the body will go down, and this will come up, but these should equalize, hopefully, and give me what I want. I also added the front splitter. Yeah, that's ugly. And semi-canards to hopefully keep the air along the body instead of giving it a big wide profile in the front. I may add lights. We'll see. I did in fact find a driver sitting in my spares. What's cool about that is that I put the driver on Velcro. So I can also run a camera. Now this is where I can put the GPS as well if I don't want so much weight, or I can find another spot here for the GPS and take video of the exact speed runs that I'm going to do and have all the numbers. As you can see, this is not a regular Group C car. Go over this here. I added a reinforcement plate over that cross brace, mostly so that I could Velcro stuff here. I started with the GPS, realized I had a camera that fit, found a driver sitting around doing nothing, sitting on a shelf, put some Velcro on him. Could be fun. These are small brass pieces here in the front. May change them to slightly heavier. I have slightly more room for more diameter. This is to give me a inertial mass damping effect on the front. So basically, if I hit some bumps, it hopefully will keep everything planted a little bit better. May not, but we'll try it out. The big thing here is the large reinforcement plate. This is to reinforce the chassis, since I cut a lot of the boxing stuff at the bottom for smoother airflow, but also to add these here. These are foam pieces that will be pressed against the body here. That'll keep everything from damaging the whole chassis when I flip, because I'm going to crash. I'm going to try to go faster and faster, and this will keep some of these objects safe under here, especially since they're vintage electronics. I'm running a TC2, which is the touring car Cyclone Novak speed control with no motor limit. I did box everything in, but I have airflow in, airflow out right above the ESC. Hopefully that'll make sure that I'm getting good airflow across the fins here. I got to get my temp gun out. It wasn't hot at all when I did my initial test runs, but we'll see when I start pushing it a little bit on longer stretches. I was getting some heat soak in the motor. It wasn't hot when I ran it, but sitting a bit after the runs, it started to get warmer and warmer after sitting, so this will hopefully keep that from happening. The shorty pack fits under here really well. I did change the suspension here to something just a little bit cleaner, so I'm not dealing with this super soft suspension that came with it. The car is heavy. I said I would try to keep it light, but it did not exactly work out that way. We'll see how it goes. Here were the enforcement braces I added to where the stock wing is mounted. Piece here, I may knife edge these, depending on how fast I get with this and if I need to eke out a little bit more. Obviously, it's just a matter of putting time into it, but I do have a bunch of projects that I want to get to, and I want to drive more. So we'll see how that goes. This is just a higher plate here, so it acts as a diffuser, not quite a diffuser. What a lot of this really does is add weight, unsprung weight on the axle to make sure I have traction. I have not run this around the circuit. I don't have any on-road tracks around me yet. I'd like to build one in the back at some point. We have space to pave, to put something small, but this is built as a speed run car. If it comes down to it, I can take all of this off. The black and the white plastics are HDPE, so high density poly something or other. A really good strong plastic that'll hold together. And then Lexan, my favorite. Right now I'm running stock gears. It hit the 55 with stock gearing and a 13 double. I'm running drag car foams in the rear, 1/10 pan car wheels in the front with weird spacers and adapters to get everything to fit so that I can keep the bearings as smooth as possible. In the back here I'm running some old adapters from monster truck conversions that I ran where it goes from 14mm hex to 12mm hex. I've gotten questions about where I've gotten them from. These aren't available anymore. I bought these about 10 years ago. Those places have since closed, but I think I might as well find a machinist and see if he can copy these for me. They might be something that the Group C groups might be interested in. So that's the main chassis build. Standard servo. I'm getting a, now that I have the body going around the front wheels and protecting it, I'm going to get rid of the servo saver here and just go with a regular arm. Schumacher makes a small arm I can use on there. It's offset. And then I'm going to upgrade these with some of the spare tie rods I have laying around. We'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I'd like to break 70 with it. Again, it's going 55. So 70 with some gearing changes, and if I have to, I have a 9-turn motor. I have another 13 double, a more modern one. I put this one, this was a D2 that I had laying around versus the D6 that I showed in the first half of the video, mainly because the wires were longer and I didn't have to make an adapter for it. It was all hardwired together in the previous car. The electronics weren't, and I just wanted to get it out and drive. I think I have to reposition some of the way the solder points are on there too, so it fits here a little bit tighter. We'll see. From there, these were the other bodies I considered, of course, a stock one, which, you know, sits well, but with this setup, these wheels and the adapters to them, they would actually stick out past the body and wouldn't be protected. So if I crash, then I'm looking at damaging the axle and the rest of this instead of the whole body, just taking the brunt of the force and then rolling it against these chassis reinforcement pieces. It does sit a little bit higher. Things are sit a little bit farther back, but I feel I'm going to learn with that. I also, this was the 110 pan car body that I had teased with originally, and I really like it. I don't know. I guess I didn't go with it because it's already cut for another body, for another chassis I have, another pan car. I had this one laying around already. I do want to see what it does. If I am not getting the speeds I want, I can go back to trying this. This is a standard 235 wide body, so it's a little bit wider here at the rear than the Group C, so it can at least protect the wheels and tires if I end up going that route. There are a couple bodies that I have in mind other than this one. I'd have to order them, but they give me a little more flow over the chassis here. which I may not actually have. So we'll have to see how it all pans out. But I think I'm going to get some good results with this, so we'll see. Last bit is the reinforcing of the car here. This shoe glue messed up my paint job again. It looks cool now. It looks kind of marbled. My son says it looks like it's going fast, like it's peeling the paint off. It kind of looks like a bad paint job over carbon fiber in some spots, but the red itself was really nice on its own. I did a bunch of layering. It was some candy red, some clear, some flake, some candy red, some clear, and then some gunmetal and black, backed with black, and well, we'll see how it goes. Again, this is the front splitter, canard style, holes in here. This gives me space for electronics for the lights, so I can run those separate. This edge here, there's an edge, I can't. This edge here just sits right here, so it helps to keep the airflow smooth underneath. I'm excited to see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it crashes. I'll get some driving in this weekend. That body will likely end up scratched. If it doesn't, I'll be happy. If it does and I get my speeds, I'll be happier. So we'll see. Thanks for watching here. I'll be back with more actual running videos and catch up on some of these projects I have going on. And yeah, let's keep going fast. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.